Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the regular meeting of the Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order. Please join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Present.
Commissioner Marino.
Present.
Commissioner Horton.
Present.
Commissioner Hope.
Present.
Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux. So moving on, item 3 will be approval of the agenda. We'll have general public comment, presentations and special reports, of which we have none. Next is appointments to boards and commissions, also have none there. The consent agenda, Commissioner Hutchinson, will you read the consent agenda when we get to that point, please? And then that will bring us down to committee reports, finance and administration.
Finance Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Criminal justice and county affairs has no business tonight. Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That brings us down to intergovernmental affairs, of which we have none. Administrator controller issues, which we have none. Unfinished business, new business. Is there anything?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add the following, please, under, we'll call it A or 1, local state of emergency resolution. I'd like to make the motion would read as follows: move to rescind Isabella County Board of Commissioners resolution number 20-12-03, serving to terminate the local state of emergency effective immediately.
Support for that.
Support, Swaney.
When you approve the agenda, you'll do approval
That'll
with the
be-
addition.
Okay, right. Okay, so that brings us down to after new business. There will be a second opportunity for general public comment and then announcements and then adjournment. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move, Marino.
Support, Jelezinski.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. And next up would be general public comment. We'll go to the live audience first. Please step up to the podium. State your name and write it on the sheet there, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Fogelberg from Mount Pleasant. Each of you tonight, you should have a packet that's next to you. And I just will talk really briefly, but then if we can refer to that packet. So the first thing that I want to say is Save Taco Boy. I think that the Mount Pleasant Zoning Board of Appeals may have not got the memo that previously, and hopefully previously after tonight, that we were in a state of emergency. But tonight I did ask that a motion would be made, and so I really appreciate the motion to rediscuss the state of emergency. So as you know, that I've sent a lot of information, and I just want to, as this is going to be discussed, just review it very quickly. That you have knowledge that the governor's powers does not go past 28 days with a declaration to a state of emergency. And that was twice removed. So once our state of emergency was removed in October of 2020 with the Supreme Court, but most recently the health department picked it up, and that was actually rescinded in June of 2021. And since then, the 2253 Public Health Code has also been rescinded and severed from the law books for being unconstitutional. And that was a recent lawsuit that went through with the Iron Pig. I do have the current numbers of the epidemic in Isabella County, and I will go through those as we go through our packet. But also, I want to remind you that there's laws governing with the appropriations that came out, the governor and the health director with very specific duties that they have in declaring a state of emergency and the stuff that goes along with that. In Senate Bill 82, Public Act 87 of 2021, the governor signed that into effect on September 29th of 21. There were also no masks allowed by the public health officer on anyone under 18. So specifically, like the mask mandate in the county buildings, that should never, ever happen on a child that's under the age of 18. So from here, I'm hoping that there was yet anyone to produce. I didn't get any emergency plan that came from this. I didn't get any statistical data that supported the state of emergency. And if you refer now to your folder, I'm just going to walk you through very quickly what's on here. So this first sheet, all of these links that are on here, some of them are communications that we have, but each of these links actually goes to several other links of information and data that I sent. And you can refer to those later. This next page, if you refer to the bottom where it has the cumulative numbers, this is actually from Steve Hall with the Isabella County cases. And then I pulled up the Michigan cases and death. And like I said, Michigan itself has not been in a state of emergency since June of last year. And the case fatality rate for Michigan is 1.44%. And the case fatality for Isabella is 1.33%. That does not include undetected or untested cases. And then this next two set of pages, I might actually have a friend that'll speak a little bit more about this. But if you refer to the yellow portion, this is the Public Act 87. This is what we talk about where anyone under 18, the public health officer cannot mandate them to wear a mask. This next page is going to be a page that comes right from the CDC. And this is a list on the CDC of all of the masks that are on here. This is an N95 because I know you have all talked about the N95. And I know I might be coming close to time, but I promise you someone else can pick up for me. So I'll really quickly finish. This is one of the masks that's on here. That's the 95 that you've all talked about. And it says very specifically that it can result in death if it's not used properly. If you go through these next ones, these are just examples of signage that could be done for the N95 that would require you really had somebody to fit them. But this sign I want to show you all because I know some people really do think that, you know, the mask is recommended, not mandated. This says be advised, masks are recommended, not required. And then if you do decide to do that, there are some CDC signs that show that it's not actually mandated, but these are recommendations that people can take. Dawn will be up here later, and this next piece of paper here is going to talk about the UV lights and things that can be done as a preventative measure where people aren't wearing masks that could harm them. And then lastly, this little piece right here, this is actually the bond that covers everybody that's here on any board, and any elected official has a bond. And like anytime somebody does something that maybe is not an oath of office, like this is something that a regular public individual citizen could file against the bond. So these are things that other people that are going to speak may speak about, but I also pulled up the County Board of Commissioners, the actual public act that goes along with the commissioners. And I could give you this whole thing. I'm not going to, but I just want to make sure that you know in here that it says that any decisions that are made do not contravene the general laws of this state. And so I'm hoping that some of those laws that I sent, because I know it was a lot of information, but that did come from speaking to an attorney and things that were there. And I hope that's all taken into consideration. Hopefully, like I said, to rescind the state of emergency. And I apologize, that's a lot of information, but I really do hope that it's helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Kelly Fountain. Bree's already given you all the masked and non-masked data that's in your packet. And to let you know that there is no difference between wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. All masks are recommendations, not laws. Everyone has different ways to keep themselves safe and have free choice to do so. All masks need to be professionally fit and even the N95 needs to be professionally fit. Everybody's faces are different, so that's just a given. Let's see. The emergency needs to be ended, and I'd like to see it ended because there is no emergency at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dawn Betha. I'm a Mount Pleasant resident. The one form that Bree mentioned was the UV lights. And this is something I actually brought up to the school board and to the library board. I'm on the Friends of the Library Board. And I brought this up because UV lights, these special type of UV lights that are mentioned in that article, and there's many articles that you can reference on any search engine that you want. It talks about it kills 99.95% of the viruses and bacteria, and they should be considered using, and it gives you a list. Hospitals are big, schools, airplanes. It can be used in all different ways, and also HEPA filters in the air conditioning units. And I know that you all received, or the county, the city, the schools, all of them received lots of COVID money. And that's supposed to be for prevention and mitigation, of this deadly disease that we're supposed to be so scared of. And so if you didn't use these funds for filters and for lighting, I'd like to know what you used it for. I know there's probably some kind of breakdown on this on the website. I'll have to look to make sure. But I believe that if you're serious and you really think that we were in such a state of emergency that we needed to protect ourselves from this, then you should have looked into these lights and the HEPA filters on the air conditioning unit.
Hello, everyone. I am Clarissa Philhart from Clare. I would like to reiterate what Bree already said regarding Steve Hall, the public health officials information. The number of positive COVID cases in Isabella County, according to Steve, was at 12,257. And this is since the beginning of March of 2020 until just last Friday. There have also been 163 deaths in that same time frame. So that is 1.33 people per 100 that have been affected by this and died. Furthermore, the number of people in Isabella County is nearly 70,000, and the percentage of the population that has been lost, not making light of that, but is at 0.02%. So I would like to ask that the state of emergency topic be revisited and rescinded, because that does not constitute a state of emergency. And I would also like to ask that the signage on the public buildings, what is on the websites, and that the people that work in these buildings also be notified that this state of emergency has been rescinded. If people choose to do something different, that is their choice, but I don't feel that it should continue that people that are visiting these public buildings are being told they're required. Again, the signage could say recommended. So I would appreciate that you revisit this topic. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. My name is Matthew Taylor. I've owned a cafe here in the area for a while. I work with Steve Hall a lot. And honestly, I've said since the beginning, the most important thing is hand washing. I'm glad that Disney does a lot of hand washing exercises. Mostly, I want to say, I don't know if you agree, but the CDC can be wrong and the government can be wrong. I don't want to spend a lot of time on studies. We all know what studies are done. I'll give you a concrete example. I only take 2 prescriptions. A lot of people take more. I took those 2 prescriptions when I negotiated the deal to open my cafe. I took them during the grand opening. And for the first 7 years working there, thriving and growing. And after 7 years, the CDC issued a guidance that if you take one of my prescriptions, you couldn't possibly take the other unless you're abusing them. I wasn't abusing anything on January 1st of 2014, and I didn't magically start abusing it because the CDC guidance said otherwise. Same with the government. The government was wrong for a long time about marijuana. The government's been wrong about a lot of things. It's been going on for 2 years. And I think it's time in a world where you don't need a degree to know that the CDC can be wrong. You don't need a degree to know the government can be wrong. And in a world like that, we need to let our free citizens decide for themselves what is best for them and their children. Among my staff, I see people being responsible. Some people wear a mask all the time. Some people wear one if they feel they have symptoms or they've been near anyone that might be positive. Others wear no mask at all. At first, we were told we all had to shut down. I didn't agree with that. And if I was told to shut down, I would not have. I would have gone to court. Then there were plastic screens everywhere. If you go to the Bird today, there's no plastic screens. A 2-dimensional plastic screen doesn't stop anything. I mean, come on. So I hope you do drop it eventually. We have to drop the mask thing. No one's forcing anybody to not wear a mask, but some people are being forced to wear a mask. That includes children with asthma, children who may get panic attacks. And I had an employee who worked for me for a long time, a great employee named Dana. She was hard of hearing. So she would read your lips as much as she would listen to you. And I started to wonder what happens to kids who are hard of hearing and they don't get the practice of reading lips like they used to. It's not something that affects everybody, but once you apply these blanket rules to 8 million in Michigan or 330 million in the country, you are going to run into these things. There's very few rules you can apply to everyone that are really going to make sense anymore. And then finally, I was just wondering how is it that in 1980, we all insisted that an 8-year-old child who had a bloodborne pathogen that was 100% fatal, there was no cure for AIDS, there was no treatment for AIDS, The only prognosis was a long and horrible death. And yet Elton John and many people said, no, you can't stop this kid from going to school. You can't force him to go to a separate school. You can't make him wear gloves or a hazmat suit or a gas mask. We were once a brave society that knew there were dangers in the world, but that we wanted to serve everyone and give access to everyone.
Sure.
Yes.
You're well past your 3 minutes.
That's
Can-
fine.
Can you wrap it up real quick?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
That's pretty much most of what I wanted to say. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Will Baird, a business owner downtown. I know that there's a lot of people that the whole world, this virus has affected people. Everyone, every way, shape, or form. But it's came down to a lot of common sense. To me, when I see things, I'm 40 years old. I'm old, I'm young, somewhere in the middle. But for 40 years, I grew up and not experienced anything like this, where the masks have been forced upon anyone. It was always for, if you wore a mask, usually doctors, nurses wore them for their protection, for themselves. And I can think of all of the bad diseases and things that people had growing up, and flus and colds, and it was just a common sense factor. If you were sick, you didn't feel well, you had a fever, you stayed home. It didn't affect everyone else around them. It was just the way that it was. I don't understand how, obviously, the methods that we are doing currently aren't working. People with vaccines, people without vaccines, everybody's getting COVID. We all know people that have had COVID, with a shot or without a shot. I could care less personally. It's your choice, though, on how you want to handle your bodies and how do you want to protect yourselves. And I think that's what the community, and that's what our nation is growing to feel this way, is we all want to be responsible for ourselves. It's not a matter of forcing other people's opinions and judgments and mandates down our throats on what they feel is for our protection and our body and for us. I read an article a day about a gentleman trying to get a kidney surgery. To get a kidney, the hospital will not give him a kidney unless he gets a vaccine. And they say it's for his protection. Well, he's got 100 donors in line of people that want to donate a kidney to this man to save his life. And his personal choice, he doesn't believe in it. Why? And if he's willing to accept the risk, why wouldn't be able to have a chance to live? But without following the hospital's mandates on what they require, he's not able to. So I want you guys to consider all things that are going on and all of the information that they've given you, and just keep that in mind on how we progress and how we go forward, because the things that we're doing right now aren't changing anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Fidencio Martinez. I'm a resident of Mount Pleasant. Want to start off by thanking you guys for your time and effort serving in such a position. Oftentimes in leadership positions like this, it's thankless and you get a target on your back. I know I'm a leader in various social circles and in the community. I understand some of the things that are being discussed right now, like mask mandates and states of emergency, are an effort to try to help, to try to do something to curb what is going on in the world today. But I want to reiterate what many of others have so eloquently said, is the fact that the information is constantly changing and it can't be a one-size-fits-all approach to everything. We welcome the information, the recommendation and guidance. However, to make mandates or to make policies that try to shape and regulate everyone is not, I don't believe that's a good idea. And also with those mandates come responsibility. The pendulum's going to swing both ways. When your name's on the line, when the pendulum finally swings the other way, are you going to stand up and take full responsibility for the decisions that you've made that perhaps have caused ill effects in the community with businesses closing, social circles, people, the depression rates that are going up and things of that nature. So thank you very much. I want to encourage you guys to not only revisit it, but take it away. Give us the information. We're all adults. We can make the decisions for ourselves. And we thank you for doing the research and looking into it and serving in the positions that you are. However, just like in Nuremberg, decisions have consequences. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone moving towards the podium. I do see one caller from our virtual audience with a hand raised.
Yes.
Let him in.
Caller, we see your hand raised, and to unmute yourself, you would press *6. Looks like you're unmuted now.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Can hear you.
Okay, very good. My name is Mark Perry. I'm an Isabella County resident. Have been for more years than I wish to remember. But I'd like to address this issue of the state of emergency here in Isabella County. In reviewing some of the information just a little earlier today, I took special note of the fact that the state of Michigan, I think Bree had mentioned this earlier, a couple of people had, that the state of Michigan dropped their state of emergency designation back in June of 21. Yet we're still under a state of emergency, and we have the mask mandates. State actually has a higher death rate, which has already been covered, but I think it's worthy of repeating. One question I would ask is how many of the deaths per 100 that we have seen in the county are from COVID or people who have died with COVID? A couple of months ago, Italy, the country of Italy, had adjusted their numbers back, and this is not a typo, I'm not misstating the number, at 97%. That 100% of the COVID cases they reported had been adjusted down by a factor of 97%. So they now are reporting 3% of the original deaths from COVID are from COVID, not with COVID. They eliminated the with COVID numbers. So in other words, the death rate is really only 3% of what they had reported. And I know that there are some states in the United States that are beginning to move towards that kind of adjustment as well. Omicron is less deadly. We're in the Omicron phase right now, and all reports are that Omicron is less deadly. as far as the mandates, the mask mandates go, the masks don't stop viruses. And that's pretty well known right now. I see a lot of people wearing them, but the virus is about 3 microns in size, and the masks are 10 microns and up. So the analogy that we often hear about trying to stop a water hose with a chain link fence is precisely the analogy that is applicable here with the masks. They don't stop viruses simply because the size of the virus is way too small to be stopped. So I'm wondering, why are we still using these as a bit of a blanket or a crutch? For the children especially, these masks cause more damage than they're ever going to prevent in the way of COVID or anything else. The bacterial infections caused by the masks are way up. The low level of oxygen is impacting has a neurological impact, breathing issues, anxiety, especially in these younger kids, depression, thoughts of suicide. And on top of all that, the risk of death to those under 20 is virtually zero. I didn't see any under 20 deaths reported in Isabella County in the last 2 years. Surgeons will even tell you that surgical masks are not intended to stop a virus, but instead they're simply intended to keep perspiration and saliva in a surgical setting from ending up on the patient or in the patient cavity. That's all they're really intended to do. Court cases around the country are starting to really make decisions against mandating. And so let me just finish by saying why. Yeah.
You're well beyond your 3 minutes. Can you wrap it up for us real quick, or?
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up right now. So my question is, why are we holding on to the state of emergency and the mask mandates? To me, it seems like it's time to return our lives to us and our children. And it just seems like we're now entering that phase where we're holding on to these as more of a comfort blanket. And that comfort blanket in the past, because of the lockdowns, has kind of caused those people who have had to put aside surgeries and treatments like cancer, and those people are suffering more than the population from COVID. So let me just end it with that. I think we should drop both the mask mandates and the state of emergency here in Isabella County.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else?
We do have another caller. They don't have their hand up at this time.
Okay.
But if they do want to speak, they would press *9 to raise their hand. *9.
Yeah, I don't see a hand raised, so I'm assuming that's everyone that would like to speak for general public comment. And there will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting, which moves us on to presentations and special reports, which we have none, appointments to boards and commissions, which we have none, which moves us down to the consent agenda. Commissioner Hutchinson, would you read the consent agenda for us?
Sure. Motion reads, move to approve and place on file the January 18th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, the January 25th, 2022 Finance and Administration Committee meeting minutes, and the January 25th, 2022 Human Resources and Public Works Committee meeting minutes.
Been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Jalzinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Clerk,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux. That moves us down to committee reports, finance and administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First up is the 2022 invoice list, the January 21st, 2022 invoice list, and the January 27th, 2022 adjustment list. Motion reads, move to ratify and place on file the January 14th, 2022 invoice list in the amount of $410,260.99. The January 21st, 2022 invoice list in the amount of $1,446,289.65, dated January 2022.
Support. Been moved and supported to approve the adjustment list and the invoice list. Discussion.
Give invoice list to review pretty much every week. We also had in committee and also today's business session, touching on the highlights of the January 14th, $125,000 for part of a tribal 2% grant to the Isabella Conservation District. We also had the tribal 2% grant from the sheriff and breathing apparatuses for $70,000. That was on the January 12th. Excuse me, the January 14th. Those were all listed in front of the board. The board had action on those earlier. And then on the January 21st, 2022, we had some large expenses there. Those came from tax distributions from the treasurer, from taxes. And now they're getting paid, the taxes that the treasurer collected is now being paid to the local entity or the entities that the taxes were collected for. Largest one being the Gratiot Isabella Intermediate School District with the sum of $1,121,080.08. And then as usual, we have the adjustment list, the usual players involved there. We have Gordon Foods, Consumers Energy. That is because the county pays their bills on time and or early to receive discounts and the associated benefits of doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further discussion, questions? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Engler, Commissioner Jagodzinski,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux.
Second item of business is financial institutions designated as depositories. Motion reads, move to approve the list of financial institutions which Isabella County Treasurer has designated as depositories. Choice One Bank, CIBC Bank, Citizens Bank, Fifth Third Bank, Flagstar Bank, Horizon Bank, Independent Bank, Isabella Bank, Isabella Community Credit Union, JP Morgan Chase, MBIA Michigan Class, Mercantile Bank of Michigan, Multi-Bank Securities, North Star Bank, PNC Bank, SunTrust Robinson Humphrey, Huntington Bank, previously known as TCF Bank, and Wells Fargo.
Support.
And moved and supported to approve the financial institutions designated as depositories. Discussion.
The county has about $66 million that we need to put someplace every year to keep it safe and keep it safe also from loss. And while these banks, there's quite a number of them, still isn't sufficient with the FDIC protection of 250,000, still doesn't protect it all. But the county treasurer goes through, they have standards that they use to judge the strength of the banks. And these banks are all classified green, which offers a high degree of protection until the county has use for those funds. So we do this every year. And this is the list that the county treasurer would like to invest our monies in this year.
Any further discussion? Okay, Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Slaney,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jagodzinski,
Yes.
Hutchinson,
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux.
Okay, next up. Legal services agreement for the sheriff's office facility. Motion to approve the legal services agreement between Isabella County and Cole, Stoker, and Tosky PC, attorneys at law, Isabella County Sheriff's Office and Correctional Facility, not to exceed $10,000, and authorize the board chair to sign. Support.
Moved and supported to approve the legal services agreement for the sheriff's office and correctional facility project. Discussion.
Well, it's not a secret that we're trying to build a $41.5 million sheriff's department and correctional facility. And as a requirement of financing, the county must enter in an agreement for legal services with a firm to perform all legal services necessary for the organization, financing, construction, and initial operation of the project. That's being required by USDA. So obviously a long history with Cole, Stoker, and Tosky. They've done very competent work, and they're certainly not gouging us on the price that they're paying per hour. And I don't see any reason why this should not be approved.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Where?
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Hutchinson,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, and with that, that concludes the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. That brings us down to criminal justice and county affairs, of which we have no business. You gentlemen have the night off tonight. So brings us down to human resources and public works committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item is fiscal year 2022 County Veteran Service Fund Grant Amendment. The motion reads, move to approve the fiscal year 2022 County Veteran Service Fund CVSF grant amendment between Isabella County and the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, MVAA, in the amount of $3,300, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support.
And moved and supported to approve the fiscal year 2022 County Veteran Service Fund grant amendment. Discussion.
Sure. The MVAA originally approved the County Veteran Service Fund grant for Isabella County in the amount of $78,541 for fiscal year 2022. The fiscal year 2022 grant application included $75,000 of expenditures, and this left a remaining balance of $3,541. Isabella County VA is amending the original request to include the additional expenditures of the CVSF grant in the amount of $3,300. Now, this money will be used for giveaways, utility wagon, plastic containers to get the word out about what the Veterans Affairs Service does for veterans in our community.
Very good. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jazinski.
The money's not being given away, otherwise I'd be the first in line. I think they're gonna buy different types of items that will be given out at the home show and other events that will have the county's Veterans Affairs Office information on it.
It certainly is a good opportunity to reach out to veterans in the area, let them make them aware of the services that are available. Absolutely. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hutchinson,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux.
Okay, number 2, COA Direct Care Workers Premium Pay, October, November, and December 2021. Motion reads, move to approve the $2.35 per hour temporary premium pay for the Commission on Aging Direct Care Workers and authorize the board chair to sign a direct care worker wage pass-through documentation forms for the month of October, November, and December, and authorize the Commission on Aging director to approve and sign the future direct care worker wage pass-through documentation forms beginning January 2022 throughout the remainder of the fiscal year 2022.
Support Marino.
Been moved and supported to approve the Commission on Aging Direct Care Worker Premium Pay, October, November, and December 2021. Discussion.
Yeah, this is it's been going on for over the last year. With the direct care workers, it allows them to, and it's 8 people that we're talking about right now to receive the $2.35 premium pay. And with this, this has been coming up. This goes back to, like, say, October, November, December. And it also will do the first 3 months of this year. And it allows we're trying to get it so that it allows the direct care worker just to go ahead and pass through and be able to sign these forms beginning January of 2022 through the whole year.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, Clerk Lux, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Jagodzinski,
Yes.
Yes.
no,
Yes.
Swaney,
Yes.
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux.
That concludes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have no intergovernmental affairs. We have no administrator controller issues. We have no unfinished business. For new business, Vice Chairman Horton, you added a motion
Yes,
to
we
new
have-
business.
Yes, we had one item that was added this evening that came out of our work session. We decided to move it forward to this evening. The motion is concerning the local state of emergency resolution. Motion reads, move to rescind Isabella County Board of Commissioners Resolution number 20-12-03, serving to terminate the local state of emergency immediately.
Support Swaney.
Been moved and supported to rescind the state of emergency. Discussion.
This was originally, this was originated back in March of 2020. At that time, we were just coming into the COVID era and really didn't know what to expect or what we were encountering. It was unknown. It was uncharted territory. It was wild, wild west. Fast forward to today, where are we sitting with an emergency order? Are we having any teeth to it? That was my first question. What is the end game to getting rid of it? That's another question. Place, I think, just so in case if something happened, we wouldn't have to have another meeting. That was one reason. Originally, I think we started to we believed that it kept the public safe, and we were doing everything we can, obviously, even maybe erring on the side of caution. Today, I don't think it's teeth, and I think it's time that we rescind it. The biggest thing that took away from having it was getting rid of the virtual meetings. I think, though, that a lot of entities ended their emergency order because of that. This board did not, because this board always focused on the public health, not on just whether we could attend virtually or not. I think we've shown that. We started our actual in-person meetings in July, and I don't think we had one board member that I can attend it virtually. Everyone was here and in attendance. So I think that speaks for this board. So that reason why I think we talked about have another resolution if something comes back, hopefully knocking on wood that does not happen. And as we talked about earlier, carrying it maybe one step further, I think the county does need to look at some of their mandates as far as whether mandated or recommended. I think that can be a building by building decision. Remember, we're only mandating, or not mandating, we're only concerning ourselves with our entities, not the public in general in the community. We've got businesses to run. We want to try to keep the clerk's office. We want to try to keep the treasurer's office. We want to try to keep the MRF open. Without that, our county services suffer and our county suffers. So I think that's what our focus has been, is the health and safety of our community. And I think that is the most important thing. Whether you wear a mask or don't, again, I sit here tonight wearing a mask. If you run into me in public, you run into me out in the community, you probably won't see one on me. Am I being a little hypocritical? Maybe, but walk in that door and it says mask up. If I can keep one person safe, you can argue all night whether this keeps people safe. I don't know. But if I can keep one person safe, I'll put a mask on. So that's why I'm in favor of moving this forward tonight.
Anyone else? Any further discussion? I will say that we had quite a bit of discussion on this in the work session. Administrator Controller Frost kind of walked us through the history. And we actually had our legal counsel here to answer questions. And like I say, it generated quite a bit of discussion. I think the consensus was that it has kind of run its course. I know in the past, several entities have thanked us for keeping the emergency order because it allowed them to continue to meet remotely throughout last year. And they were very thankful for that, some of them. I spoke with representatives from the city, Union Township, and Community Mental Health. They all told me that at this point, our emergency order is not affecting them in how they do business one way or the other. Administrator Controller Frost spoke with the district health department and they kind of said the same thing. So that's my take on it. Anyone else? Anyone have any? Okay. Been moved and supported. I don't see any further discussion. So Clerk Lux, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Clerk,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Hutchinson,
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passed, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Clerk Lux. And that brings us down to general public comments. Anyone for general public comment?
I just want to say thank you all very much. And if you need any help finding the recommended signs to go on doors, I'm more than happy to send you links to that. But again, thank you. It's very appreciated.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone from the virtual audience with hands raised? I don't. No hands raised. Anyone else from the live audience? Okay, seeing nothing else, announcements, commissioners, Commissioner Engler.
Yeah, as I spoke earlier in the work session, I have some dates from the Isabella Conservation District having to do with pickups. So there will be electronic waste pickup May 14th. And these pickups will be at the fairgrounds, usually from, they quit at noon. So usually when the trucks are full, they end them. So we have 2 tire recycling, June 25th and October 1st. That will also be at the fairgrounds. We usually schedule a hazardous waste pickup. We have funding for that, but we have not, because of the state having problem scheduling because they're short of help. We will have one, but we just don't have a date on that yet. So you want to, we'll keep it posted on the Isabella Conservation District Facebook and also on Isabella County or Isabella, I get confused with our county, Isabella Conservation District .org. Also, I got a captive audience. I did that earlier. The Conservation District is also having their tree sale right now, and that will end October or April 1st will be the last day ordered. So if you need some trees for the spring, go to the website and there will be an order form there. So
Thank you.
that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Engler. Anyone else? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.